We're in it, gang. A historic shift is unfolding all around us. The fall of globalism, the rise of a new conservative age, and I explain exactly what's happening and why in my most important book yet, America Awakened. This book gives you the full picture, how we got here, what it means, and what you need to know to be on the right side of history. So don't wait. Go to americaawaken.us and join the early access list today. The next chapter has already begun.
That place is demolished. The B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon, and they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone. But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really are. You're real losers. You're gutless losers. I say that to CNN because I watch it. I have no choice. I got to watch that garbage. It's all garbage. It's all fake news. But I think CNN is a gutless group of people. And the people that run it, nobody even knows it's been sold so many times. But the people that run it ought to be ashamed. MSDNC, a guy named Brian Roberts, he heads it. He's a disgrace. He's a weak, pathetic disgrace.
President Trump hasn't just beaten the legacy media, he's completely obliterated them. CNN's anchors are getting pink slips and their viewership has collapsed to levels not seen in 25 years. But that is nothing compared to what Trump just said about the progressive darling herself, AOC. And we're about to find out what they both have in common. Both AOC and the legacy media bet everything against the American people, and they both lost big time. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you make sense of all of the madness. So if you want a front row seat on how you are changing the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. I want to start with CNN's primetime viewership. I mean, the devastation is unprecedented. CNN's primetime viewership has plummeted to just 426,000 total viewers. That's down 18% from what were already dismal numbers. Now, to put this in perspective, Joe Rogan's podcast averages 11 million viewers per episode, making CNN's audience look literally like a rounding error. MSNBC failed even worse, losing 24% of their audience, their dwindling audience, while Fox News surged 23% higher. But here's the truly shocking part. CNN is now averaging just 61,000 viewers in what's known as the coveted 25 to 54 age demographic, their worst performance in over 25 years. So what we need to realize here is that that's not a bad month or maybe a bad quarter. Gang, that's a media extinction event. More Americans are watching cooking shows on the Food Network than Anderson Cooper's $18 million per year teleprompter reading. And it's not hard to see why. The network over the weekend spent literally 10 hours spreading the lie that Trump acted unilaterally in bombing Iran without notifying key congressional leaders, only to quietly issue a correction admitting that Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer was indeed briefed beforehand by the White House, as confirmed by White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Quote, "This is fake news." The White House made bipartisan courtesy calls to congressional leadership and spoke to Senator Chuck Schumer before the strike. And since then, they've, of course, been busy casting doubt on Trump's claims that the nuclear sites at Fordo were completely obliterated. And that's what you just saw Trump freaking out over. And rightly so. The media has no idea. They don't know. They're no more privy to special military intelligence than you and I are. They don't know. All they're doing is just casting doubt for their dwindling Democrat audience. And even they appear to have had it with CNN's antics. Reports are that behind the scenes, panic has set in at CNN as their new CEO is preparing for massive layoffs and salary cuts. The network's bloated anchor salaries have become impossible to justify when Anderson Cooper's making millions of dollars annually to reach fewer people than a moderately successful YouTuber you may know of. Jake Tapper's low 8-figure contract now looks absurd when measured against actual audience engagement. And as one CNN employee told Fox News, morale at the network is really, really grim, and staff can sense the cold winds of budget cuts approaching. Starting next month, CNN employees will even have to submit receipts for expense reports. It's a humiliating reminder of how far the once mighty cable network has fallen. But on the other side of the political equation, we're seeing the opposite. We're seeing a wannabe Democrat rising star getting squashed like a little annoying bug that she really is, in such a way that only the Trumpinator can do. Wait until you see this.
We will stand bravely, dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun.
Wow, it's such an exciting time to be alive. As we speak, America is regaining its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, and prosperous nation on earth. We have so much to celebrate already. Safer borders, the dismantling of DEI, permission to drill, baby drill, and $1 trillion in new investments released into the economy. We stand on the precipice of what will be known as the most prosperous time in American history. So the only question is, will you be an active participant in the golden age, or are you going to sit passively on the sidelines watching everyone else build wealth? Well, if you want to be part of the former, then I urge you to join me and my good friend Mark Wilburn at the Golden Age Summit on Thursday, June 26th at 4 p.m. Eastern. Mark is a stock market expert whose recent recommendations have led to returns of over 200%. He's an amazing teacher. He's got a knack for demystifying the market so everyday Americans can participate in this golden age we're now in. But don't wait, gang. Seating registration is limited, so click on that link below right now. Register today, and I'll see you for an event that promises to change your life. So as I'm sure you heard, AOC reacted to one of the most successful military strikes in modern warfare over the weekend by calling for President Trump to be impeached for a third time, which appears particularly ridiculous given that he just brokered peace in the Middle East. Trump, of course, could not help himself and gave a response that is pure gold. Quote, "Stupid AOC, one of the dumbest people in Congress, is now calling for my impeachment, despite the fact that the crooked and corrupt Democrats have already done that twice before." Exactly. That's exactly what Democrat Senator John Fetterman said. What's the point? What are you going to accomplish that the other two impeachments didn't? I digress. The reason for her rantings is all of the victories that the USA has had under the Trump administration. The Democrats are not used to winning, and she can't stand the concept of our country being successful again. We're just now coming back from that radical left experiment with Sleepy Joe, Kamala, and the auto pen in charge. What a disaster it was. AOC should be forced to take the cognitive tests that I just completed at Walter Reed Medical Center as part of my physical. As the doctor in charge said, quote, "President Trump aced it," close quote, meaning I got every answer right. Instead of her constant complaining, Alexandria should go back home to Queens, where I was also brought up, and straighten out her filthy, disgusting, crime-ridden streets in the district she represents, and which she never, ever goes to anymore. She better start worrying about her own primary before she thinks about beating our great Palestinian senator, crying Chuck Schumer, whose career is definitely on very thin ice. She and her Democrat friends have just hit the lowest poll numbers in congressional history. So go ahead, try impeaching me. Make my day. And Trump is not exaggerating. Take a look at these numbers. I mean, this is the latest from RMG, one of the more accurate pollsters. It's a generic ballot for the upcoming midterms, just came out hours ago. Republicans are absolutely crushing the Democrats by 8 points, 52 to 44. I mean, that's insane. That's insane. I mean, but it just goes to show you that when you've lost the ability to read the national room, as it were, when both the Democrats and their mouthpieces in the legacy media fail to see what the vast majority of the rest of the nation sees, they're going to get punished for it. Inevitably, there's going to be a gap, an alienation between them and the 80%, as it were, in this 80-20 doom loop they find themselves. The Democrats and their pathetic mouthpieces in legacy media are simply incapable of seeing Trump or the MAGA movement or just conservatives in general making any positive contribution to our nation or the world. And it's because in the end, they're basically progressive supremacists. And I mean that literally. For them, for both the media and the Democrats, it's liberal progressivism or it's crap, right? To paraphrase what's the old all things Scottish skit on SNL. If it's not Scottish, it's crap. Well, if it's not liberal, if it's not progressive, if it's not woke, if it's not Democrat, then it's crap. It's technically what's known as radical perspectivalism, which is just a fancy way of referring to a collective point of view that assumes that that perspective represents the whole of reality, particularly moral reality. So a moral absolutism that cannot entertain any other possible alternative moral perspective other than its own. So radical perspectivalism conflates one's point of view, particularly one's moral point of view, with a totalizing picture of reality. And so if anyone diverges from that point of view, they're not just diverting from reality itself. They are by definition evil. Since what constitutes as good is exhausted in the liberal perspective. And so for the legacy media and for Democrats, because Trump is alien to their worldview, because he stands outside of their parameters, by definition, he's not just always wrong in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, you bombed Fordo, but you didn't completely obliterate. You know, he's got to be wrong in some way, shape, or form, but not just that. He's evil. Again, by definition, because he stands outside a totalizing moral parameter. And so the Democrats and the legacy media are just simply incapable of being able to accurately report or comment on really anything that Trump does. It's basically TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome 101. And as you can see, that ideological inflexibility, that ideological madness has put both the Democrats and the media in a very real death spiral. They are both going the way of the dodo bird as they alienate themselves from more and more of a wider consensus. They are going extinct. And for the vast majority of us, I think it is safe to say they will not be missed.